Alright, this is gonna be a bit of a different video, but I wanted to make a reaction to Dako's little talk about the box with John. So yeah, we're gonna get to that. I'll be like pausing and giving my own thoughts on things. So let's get this show on the road. No subtitles, they're only auto-generated. Oh my god, this intro is sick! Holy shit! Jesus Christ!
Hello everybody and welcome to the brand new series called FNAF Unsolved. In this brand new series we're going to be discussing the most mysterious subjects in the whole of FNAF. And the first one today we're going to be talking about is the box in Five Nights at Freddy's 4. Another exciting thing is that for each subject that we talk about we're going to be having a special guest. And the first guest on episode 1 about the box is John FNAF.
Hi everyone! Thanks for having me.
Oh my
I'm
god,
so
it's
excited
John
to be here
FNAF.
and talk about the box, and hopefully we'll solve it today.
This series is basically like a discussion podcast with special guests. It isn't a theory video. It isn't anything like that. It's not a video where we're going to say we solved the box or anything. It's just a nice little discussion video where we bring up the most biggest subjects of mysteries in the franchise, basically.
Too bad, Lewis. I'm going to be making my own theories. I'm going to discuss things with both of you without you knowing I exist. Because if Mark can do it to Dako, and then Matt can do it to Mark, and then I think John did it to Matt, and then Dako did it to John. So this is totally legal, guys.
So lower your pitchforks, guys. I'm sorry, but nothing's going to be solved today. We're just giving our own thoughts to the biggest mysteries in the franchise. Okay? So let's get straight into it. So the box in Five Nights at Freddy's 4, 9 years later, is still one of probably the biggest mystery in Five Nights at Freddy's.
This is correct. Mainly because it's one of the things that never actually got any sort of implication. At least as far as I'm aware. Because all it was is just a thing that existed. As probably like a teaser. And then he just never was brought up again. Because people didn't like that it was probably Dream Theory. So, yeah.
The box was in Five Nights at Freddy's 4, right? That's the first time we got to witness the box for the first time.
Correct.
And it was getting the nightmare ending in FNAF 4. And it was locked. There was 2 locks attached to this box, and you couldn't open it. You were clicking on the box, and it was rattling, and we couldn't open it.
And
obviously, the way you would open it was just go left, right, right, left, 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 right, right, little, left, middle. And the box would open, and Freddy Fazbear himself would come out and eat your face through your computer.
and above the box, it says, perhaps some things are best left forgotten for now. Which insinuates to me that for now is like, oh, we'll learn about something later. Like, this is a teaser for a next game.
Perhaps some things are best left forgotten for now. The community did not listen to this. I think Scott basically just said like, yeah, don't worry about this for now. Everyone worried about that immediately. I know FNAF has the problem of having no straight answers, but even when it gives us straight answers, nobody listens. And I didn't even listen when I was in this shit.
Maybe I think that's what I was thinking. I was like literally 15 years old at the time, but I think I was thinking like maybe this is a teaser for something new. Do you remember what you were thinking?
I think I originally thought that the box could be opened in FNAF 4. Like there was a secret night or something where it can be opened, like teasing that there's a way to open it in the game. I do actually remember in the files of the game that you could actually take the locks off. There was like coding or something. There was a way to make the locks fall to the ground. So maybe at one point Scott was going to have the box open in the game, and then he changed his mind for the
Probably after beating Night 8, since Night 7 is when you first see the box, and aside from the star, you don't really get anything from beating Night 8. Despite it being an official thing rather than just a challenge mode.
for the next game, or you know, something like that.
I feel like people were trying like different patterns because you could like click on the locks and make them move. I feel like people were trying different patterns of like, oh, if you click on it 1,987 times, maybe it'll, you know, or something like that.
Right. 87. 87. I think the box also was possibly confirmation that it was a matter of it being the bite of 87. I do think that Scott originally intended that to be the bite of 87. In fact, I think he retconned it on MatPat. Because, like, the Fredbear and Friends cartoon, sure, it said 1983. Maybe he changed his mind, like, at the very end, and just left in that little hint. But, like, you can't deny that the entirety of the code, like, he hid 87878787 all over the source code of the teasers for FNAF 4. And all the things like, was it me? Was it me? Perhaps me. And, like, obviously that was a matter of, like, who was behind the bite of 87. That was the biggest mystery. We didn't know that there would be an entirely other bite. So why would we care if someone did a different bite? So that's why I think that it was originally intended to be the bite of 87. And it was either changed like right before the game released, or it was retroactively changed because MatPat made his theory about how FNAF 4 is not realistic because if we have no frontal lobe, we cannot feel fear. That's what I think, at least. Now let's let the actual experts talk.
I don't know. People were trying everything, but I don't think you can't open it in the real game. But it's interesting in the game files that you could open it. So after FNAF 4, I remember Scott made a Steam post saying that he originally was thinking about opening the box, but he decided not to, saying perhaps some things are best left forgotten forever. So I don't think he ever plans on revealing.
Some things should just be left forgotten forever. The fandom did not listen. Scott basically said, "Hey, forget about the box. The box is never going to get opened. No." And then, boom. Here we are. Like, what? 9 years later, after first finding the box, still talking about it, despite Scott telling us to forget about it all.
What's in the box, and I think it's just one of those things that's going to become something that's going to be talked about forever. But maybe he'll change his mind one day. But after FNAF 4, I remember we got FNAF World.
Oh God! How does FNAF fit into Quantum Fiber? Like, how does that fit into FNAF 4?
and one of the box wasn't in FNAF World, but it was in the game files, and it was opened. So I think that's really interesting. And I remember I did research for this video, and I watched a video from DJ Sturf from 8 years ago, January 2016, where he was looking through the game files of FNAF World, and he found the box that was opened, and he also found where it was supposed to be. And it was actually supposed to be placed in the first glitch world that you go into, the blue one where you first enter the glitch world. It was supposed to be in that area. Did you know that?
Box
I
is just
did not
there.
know that.
I didn't know that either until today.
I knew that the box was open in the game files, but I didn't know where it was supposed to be placed. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Goes into first glitch world. There's just the box right there. There goes any hope of this even slightly appearing like a normal video game.
There was like a little bit of coding on it, like feeding it random numbers between 1 and 63, I believe, but there was.
Oh. Maybe it was like meant to be a like a random chance, kind of like unlocking the characters. Where like every time you go into that first glitch world, there's a 1 in 63 chance that the box will show up. Which would make grinding for the true ending even more tedious. I love FNAF World, but it is tedious.
Wasn't really anything. You can't really open it or anything, but it was supposed to be. This is DJ Sturf, so if I'm wrong, I trust DJ Sturf, but it was supposed to be in the glitch world, which is really interesting. I think that's super important.
Yeah, I agree that it's important. And remember, guys, like this is the game after FNAF 4. Okay. I know that Scott said some things are best left forgotten forever, but originally it was for now, and then he made FNAF World. And interestingly, the box is there, open in FNAF World.
Yeah, and I think it's important to say that the canonicity of FNAF World, like, people do think the game's canon. Even I think the game's a little bit canon because.
Yeah, I also think it's canon, even if Scott tries to deny it now, because you literally are setting up the hints for the Happiest Day minigame. Or like the Happiest Day good ending in FNAF 3. So probably either the puppet or uh Golden Freddy's spirit is in FNAF World. Kind of like Pop Goes Arcade, where like there's a spirit in the arcade machine that's that is acting outside of the game. In order to, and we have to do something in the game in order to fix that.
There's something in Ultimate Custom Night that connects back to FNAF World. Like if you do the Old Man Consequences and fall into the lake in Ultimate Custom Night.
Right. Old Man Consequences is also a thing in FNAF World. Also, eventually, originally, Adventure Endo 01 was a character before he was cut, along with Candy Cadet. Specifically, it was the adventure version, not the actual like, not the actual one. Maybe Scott was trying to bring back FNAF World more than just Consequences. Who knows?
It unlocks the trophy in FNAF World, so I don't know. It could be canon. It could not. I don't know.
But that doesn't mean some of the ideas that were originally in FNAF World, it doesn't mean that some of those ideas are not allowed to be in the future of the story.
So because the box was supposed to be in the glitch world of FNAF World, like the blue first glitch.
I feel like the clock is the canon ending of FNAF World. Because, well, you're setting up the things. I don't think that that the actual FNAF lore is that you murder Scott Cawthon. So, yeah. Probably best you don't. Probably, like, I do understand why some people don't consider it canon. I believe that the clock ending is what's canon. Not Chipper, not the rainbow, not killing Scott. Not even the basic ending. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on the canonicity of FNAF World.
World. I think because there's in FNAF World, you can get to that like happiest day. It's called in the game files, but it's like the multicolored screen switching between colors, and like people think it's an angel or it's Scott's two kids and him. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, of
Yeah,
course, yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I
You
remember
get to
that.
that through the glitches, through
Let him in. Why? How is he? How does he fit into the FNAF lore?
going too deep into the glitches. So I think originally there was supposed to be more stuff hidden inside the glitch world, maybe, and the box and what's inside the box was maybe supposed to
Yeah,
be part
there
of
only
that.
was the
But
one
I
secret
do
in the
think
glitch world.
it probably has to do with the crying child because the map of FNAF World looks like the crying child's brain.
Hold on, what?
It probably has to do with the crying child because the map of FNAF World looks
Holy sh! I didn't realize that. Wow. Okay. And the graveyard being the occipital lobe or whatever, which would fit with the bite victims I can't see in the logbook. Wow, I didn't realize that. That's actually so cool. I wonder if Scott actually intended that. Like Scott Scott is Scott has come up with such a overarching story, but I sometimes have to wonder if he's coming up with all this or if the fandom is just like grasping at every single straw possible, and Scott's just like, "Oh yes, I totally planned all this from the beginning." Please don't think I'm an idiot.
looks like the crying child's brain or a brain,
If it
and I think
if
FNAF
that
World
is
takes place
true, that's so
in the crying
fucking cool.
child's brain, and it's all about Golden Freddy and all that stuff. So probably related to the box. I don't know. What do you think?
I've got a similar idea that FNAF World is all about Golden Freddy. And
Actually, if it is a brain, hypothetically, that could even tie into my idea that the box's contents were originally dream theory. Since if FNAF World takes place in the crying child's brain, then setting up the clues for FNAF 3, because that would also be connected. Uh, the whole graveyard being in the I can't see the I can't see thing. If the box is in there, then it would confirm dream theory because if it all takes place in his mind, then well, that would say that like it's all a dream. But again, I think Scott kind of retconned that because the fan base did not like the idea of dream theory. They rebelled against it so harshly that Scott basically said, "Nope, box is closed. Nope, not happening. Nope, 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 nope." Which is probably also why he made FNAF World. No, that's definitely why he made FNAF World non-canon. Because people just did not like FNAF World, despite it being such a good game. Just because they weren't being scared. Ugh.
if you remember the Find the Clocks mini games, it's all setting up the instructions on how to get the happiest day at the end of Five Nights at Freddy's 3. They are
Yeah.
literally identical. We'll show all the mini games here in FNAF World. It is so obvious. It's literally right there, right? I don't think me and John are going crazy. The connection is 1,000,000% obvious. Look at all the mini games in FNAF World. They're all in the same order as well.
You ain't going crazy.
When you find the clocks,
Unless I'm
they're
also
all in
going
the same
crazy.
order.
Actually, that
So
ship
the
has sailed. We're
first
all
one
crazy.
Is Balloon
We
Boy.
talk about FNAF
You
lore.
put Balloon Boy in a spot.
Yeah, you push him into like a box, I think.
Yeah, and then the second clock is the Mangle quest, the combination on what to do on the arcade machines. The third clock is the Shadow Cupcakes. The fourth one is the Fredbear
Three nine five
one.
two four
Did you
eight.
push Fredbear or you do 395248? I don't know.
395248. Yes,
You actually see that in the FNAF world.
yes. You have to
Yeah.
choose the right combination of numbers.
Yeah, and then the fifth clock is Shadow Bonnie. You move Shadow Bonnie or whatever.
Yep.
It is clearly obvious that Scott had that idea where we are setting up.
Oh, someone is at my door. Okay, let's continue.
The happiest day ending to happen. Scott clearly had an idea where all of the FNAF World clock mini games are connected to FNAF 3. It is
Correct.
literally right there. There's a connection between those two, right? Why is the box open in FNAF World? There's got to be originally an idea that Scott had where all of this stuff, the big importance of FNAF World and the box open. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. It goes on to what we think's in the box.
God, I've never thought about the box this much in my life.
I had these are my two ideas, John.
That makes one of us, John. Because I've thought about the box way too much, because I did not listen when Scott told us just forget about it.
That what I thought was originally in the box. So I originally thought that either the puppets in the box originally or the crying child's body or something. Those were my original things, and I was like, oh, because you know, if it's open in FNAF World and it's all about the crying child, then that means the crying child's body was in there. Or now, because you've said, oh, it's the puppet.
Crying child. Yes, my child is dead. Now get into the box.
The puppet could be setting it all up. Now you think, oh, it's open there. No, that means
He
it could be the
folds her
puppet
like 12
in the
times and then
box.
stuffs
People
her in
think
there.
that because in FNAF 3, the puppet is the one giving the crying child their happiest day. So like people are, oh, so the puppet is in FNAF World setting up the happiest day. I don't know.
The last thing we're gonna.
I mean, I can't really be sure it's the crying child, like, bite victim that's getting the happiest day. Like, sure, there's parallels. Very big parallels. But, unfortunately, we have the problem of all the dead kids look the exact same. Until they put on their masks.
Going to talk about the box's history is Dreamgeist from Fury's Rage.
Alright, that's a guy that existed. Hello, Dreamgeist.
Life or death. That is what is at stake when our reproductive freedoms are under attack.
Democracy!
The box is inside of Dreamgeist with all of the other FNAF stuff as well.
And notably, it looks like the box is open, and all of this stuff is like spilling out of the box. Like there's no locks on the box in the Dreamgeist's head. It has Toy Chica without her beak, has all of the ball pit balls. It has a key. It feels like just a whole poking fun at Dream Theory.
Might have been. I mean, the ball pit. That might have been a hint. That might have been a hint that originally Into the Pit was also meant to be like a matter of dream theory. I don't know, because as far as I'm aware, ball pit balls only became relevant specifically when Into the Pit first came out in the first Fazbear Fright story, which was before Fury's Rage, as far as I'm aware. I might have my timelines mixed up.
But I don't know. It could be deeper than that.
Yeah, it could be deeper than that. Like, the whole box is the memory of FNAF 4, like the nightmares and stuff. Like trauma. The trauma's been locked away inside a box.
That's actually really clever. Because that's often what some people do. I think it's called like compartmentalization. Where upon engaging with something that they don't want to engage with, the moment that it's done, they basically lock it away inside their own head and basically forget about it until they're reminded of it. Perhaps the crying child was doing that, before he died, and William Afton decided to stuff him in a box because it would be funny.
Okay, guys, so that is basically all the history about the box. And ever since Dreamgeist in Fury's Rage, we haven't seen it yet. The next
True. Let's see, how long have I been recording? We are 10 minutes through the video, and I've been recording for 25 minutes. I am very good at actually reacting and definitely not just talking over. Oh my good lord.
subject is what we think is in the box. Our ideas on what we think is inside the box. Pretty simple, right? No, it's not. John!
What is inside the box? Matt Pat's left kidney. Scott stole it.
I'm gonna kick it off to you. What do you think is in the box? Originally, what do you think was originally in the box?
Okay, originally, what I actually think is the box is all just a metaphor. I've thought this for a while. I thought it's exactly what kind of Scott said it was. It's all of the pieces put together. It's all of the answers being revealed. And I think Scott realized that revealing all of the answers is just kind of ruins the fun. It gets rid of the mystery. And I think he doesn't want to do that. I think it was just a big metaphor for all of the answers being revealed.
That's very possible. And that actually leads into my biggest problem with the FNAF series. Yes, I understand. Oh, bloody hell. Okay, back to my, gripe about FNAF. I do agree that simply giving all the answers is, not the right way to do things. For example, uh, the movie Solo. A lot of the fans want answers, not because they want to know what actually happened, but because they want their headcanon to be correct. That's what happened with Solo. Everyone was asking, oh, what about Solo's past? Oh, what happened about, what were all those things he talked about? And when we got the answers, nobody liked it. Because the mystery is the point. That being said, I do think that some answers need to be given. For example, who made the mimic? Because in the Tales of Pizzaplex story, we're supposed to assume that I think his name was Edwin, is like a stand-in for Henry, or maybe that's just game theory. Or what kind of the books are actually canon and which ones are fanon. Does Phasgu actually exist in the game story? Does the Stitch Wraith? We know Remnant exists, but for all we don't know if the Stitch Wraith is an actual character or is like a allegory for Golden Freddy. I mean, that's what we thought for the longest time. We need some answers. Not all of them, but we need some things answered. Like what were the Shadow animatronics? Shadow Bonnie has some lore relevance. And Shadow Freddy did because he's the one who lured. What were they? Were they hallucinations? Were they dead employees who got spring locked? Was Shadow Freddy William Afton in a in a fancy mustache? Like, what is the truth? After so long without answers, eventually the fandom just completely doesn't understand. We grasp at every straw and we second guess everything. We need some clear-cut answers. Not all of them, but some of them.
But a interesting theory that I've had like recently about what's in the box is I think it was a toy box. Like if you look up what a like toy trunk looks like, it's like has the same design of like the two things on the front, like over the top of the box. I think when Scott said on scottgames.com, why is Tiny Toy Chica missing her beak? It became obvious that he's using the toys and the plushies in the game to kind of prove dream theory, in my opinion. In my opinion, I'm a dream theory believer, at least back then. But
Yeah, Dream Theory was at some point canon. I have faith in that.
he was clearly using like the toys and the plushies. Like when you close the closet on Foxy in FNAF 4, he turns into a Foxy plushie. Like the toys and stuff are heavily involved with that theory and with the game. And I think originally that was supposed to be all of the toys that inspired the Crying Child's dreams that became the FNAF 1, 2, 3 games, if you know what I mean. Like the plush trap toy turned it like is like the idea for Springtrap. Toy Chica that the little girl on the grass is playing with is FNAF
Yes,
2.
yep,
If
yep.
you know what I'm picking up on. Like look up a trunk for toys. I'll send your editor a picture, but it looks very similar to the box we get. So that's kind of recently, and also Dreamgeist. You see the open box and there's Toy Chica and ball pit balls. There's a bunch of toys in there. I don't know. That's kind of my recent theory. But what do you think? What do you think is in the box?
I think that's a good one. We were just talking about this earlier after we came onto this, guys, about Dreamgeist and the box being open in its head and all the memories of FNAF 4 spilling out of the box. The traumatic
Yep.
memories of Five Nights at Freddy's 4. It's kind of like what John said, like dream theory, but I'm just talking more specifically about Five Nights at Freddy's 4, the game, that it was a nightmare, and all of this trauma and the memories of that happening have just been trapped inside a box. I'm sure.
I refuse to believe that we had the whole thing about like the fucking gas with with William Afton just doing experiments with hallucinogenic gas in order to make his son like see horrific monsters. Yes, I know that's probably what's canon. I refuse to acknowledge it because I really feel like the whole point of FNAF 4 is that it's a dream. Because otherwise, how do you explain the hospital IV and flower Easter eggs? How do you explain the whole 12 to the whole 12 to 6 thing being ended with a alarm clock, like one that you would use to wake up from a nightmare? How do you explain that these guys are literally called the Nightmare animatronic?
Sure, I've seen a movie or something where a therapist tells somebody to put their trauma inside of a locked box inside their head. I'm sure I've seen that somewhere, and I could have, it could be something like that. Michael Afton was having the nightmares, the memories of FNAF 4, what he did to the crying child. Very similar to what John said. The box was like a metaphor, like a meaning of the memories of Five Nights at Freddy's 4, the events of what happened, all the trauma of the nightmares and everything.
You had another idea about the puppet being in the box.
Yeah, so originally, back in the day, I think a lot of people were thinking the same, that originally the puppet was in the box, and like Afton like shoved the puppet in there or something, I don't know.
It does kind of fit. I do believe that also at first, the crying child was also meant to become the puppet, mostly due to the matching colors and all that. But that was eventually changed because Scott remembered, oh wait, I showed the death of a child in outside of a restaurant. That is how the puppet was made. Golden Freddy. Then he realized, oh wait, another dead kid already got in Golden Freddy. Well, Hope they know how to co-pilot.
But yeah, I think that was a big theory at the start, and it can link with FNAF World, like it's open and the puppets in FNAF World and creating the events of Happiest Day, something like that.
Yeah, and I remember people saying like it's connected to the Silver Eyes trilogy because Charlie was like in the fourth closet. She was found locked in a box.
Get in the box, Charlie. Get in the box. I don't understand why there's just a constant thing of take person, shove them in box. How did Charlie not suffocate or starve? Explain to me.
Like in Aunt Jen, I think is her name's like basement or something, back room. She was like literally folded up into a box. So people are like, oh, that's what's in the box. It was Charlie or Puppet or whatever. But yeah, I think that's a pretty solid theory as well.
Another darker side to it could be that, you know, the box is connected to the bite victim, because, you know, it's all about FNAF 4. The dark side to it could be that Afton put the bite victim's corpse in there or something. It's pretty dark. Remember, it is a discussion video. I'm not saying that's canon.
Get in the box, Evan. I know you just... My beautiful son has died. Now get in the box. Still love that mental image of William Afton just doing that.
But, you know, something like that maybe. It is a bit darker. But, you know, when you discuss things, you have to think about everything. So
Exactly.
Correct.
Exactly. And now I'm thinking like, oh, maybe that's what the mound in Midnight Motorist is. That's the crying child's grave, and that's where the box is or something.
yeah, I was thinking about that about Midnight Motorist, because in a future episode, guys, we are going to be talking about Midnight Motorist. That ground pile. I did think maybe that's where.
Okay, I think what they're... I know they're saying, like, metaphor, but I love the idea, like, my child is dead. We can't afford a casket, so I'm going to shove him in a box and then bury that box. Mr. Afton, you have, like, a multi-million dollar robotics company. Yes, but you think but I put all of it into making murder clown robots. I can't afford a casket.
The box could be buried or something.
So I guess that comes back to the question, is it solvable? Do you think it's even solvable, or is it too much of a mystery?
I think Scott does know the answer. Of course he does. He knows originally what he was planning on doing. We will talk about that right now, actually. So one big thing that we haven't mentioned yet is in the Scott interview back in 2018, Scott does say that the contents of the box have changed.
He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. The contents of that box have changed over the years because, you know, it's for that very reason. It's because, you know, of what I was intending the game to be when it happened, and then after the reaction of it, I was like, I need to craft this into something better.
So originally he had an idea what was in the box, and then he changed it. So that is a very big thing to talk about in this video. It could have just been a slight change or something, or a major change. You know, it could have been like, oh, the puppet was in the box, but now it's Golden Freddy, or Golden Freddy was in the box, but now it's the puppet, or it was a metaphor, but now it's not. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it is a big thing.
Like, yeah, like I've been saying, I've just been going off of, like, what I believe was originally planned, but as Scott has said with his own mouth, despite not having one, things have changed. So, all of what I'm saying is not canon to the actual story anymore. It was all retcon. It was all retconned because Scott was worried about disappointing the fans, and that's why he locked the box forever. Because he was scared that if he shared what he was building to, all of them would just... the entire fan base would turn up in arms against him. So, yeah, that... And eventually, a few years down the line, we realized, oh, that was a good call, because the fan base did turn against him.
Thing, and we're going to try and discuss our ideas on what Scott was thinking.
Right. I think in the interview you're referencing the Scott interview you did, right? That's where he said it. I think he was mentioning MatPat, saying like MatPat mentioned that in a video once, and no one probably really thought much of it, but MatPat was he was kind of like the story. At least this is my interpretation. After FNAF 4, the story changed with Sister Location. I think it was originally supposed to be something around the lines of Dream Theory, and then the story became more grounded in reality. I feel like Scott in the interview says that
Grounded in reality with sentient, possibly sentient AI clowns being made before Tickle Me Elmo. I know what John's saying, but like, it's fun to nitpick specific wording.
he always tried to lean more sci-fi, but had to always pull it back because the audience didn't like sci-fi elements.
And then we got Remnant, and that completely undid all of that holding back from the sci-fi.
And I think Sister Location added a ton of sci-fi, but also at the same time grounded the story a little bit more. And I think originally the box was supposed to be a metaphor for all of the pieces put together. And I honestly think MatPat got it right when he said that the box kind of changed to the FNAF 6 map. The FNAF 6 map looking like the box. Because in the ending where Henry's giving his big speech, parts of the map disappear and it turns into what looks like the box. I think MatPat was right in that idea. And Scott even admitted in the interview with you himself that like MatPat was right that because the story changed, the box indirectly, what was in the box changed as well. So I honestly think MatPat was right about that.
A lot of people are trying to prop Scott up as like some 5,000 IQ super developer who obviously planned Security Breach back when he was first making FNAF 1. No, he was building the ship as he was sailing, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just means that because everything's changed, we no longer know what's a dead end and what's still relevant. Like Shadow Freddy. Shadow Bonnie is still moving around and doing weird shit, but we don't know if Shadow Freddy is still around or if he's basically just been X'd out of the canon, and we need answers on that, which I'm hoping Scott is going to give during his second interview with Daka, which will be tomorrow, I believe.
I think the box was originally just a metaphor. For the pieces put together. And then I think the box turned into like what is the map of FNAF 6 and burning all the animatronics. Basically paragraph 4. Like burning all of the animatronics down in one place in FNAF 6. I guess it's still a metaphor. It's MatPat's theory from back in the day about how the map of the FNAF 6, like chasing the animatronics around, looks like the box. How does it connect back to FNAF 4? I mean, it's concluding the story of everything of the crying child.
We didn't even talk.
Well, it intended to. And then William Afton came back. And then later it was kind of given a bit more... Actually, then it was given even less meaning with the existence of the Blob. And then it was given just a tiniest bit of meaning when Mimic was introduced because, oh, Glitch Trap was just the Mimic. But still, like, they should... I really hope they go further in with Vanny, and not with the whole possession route. They need to have a different villain. William Afton should have died in that FNAF 6 fire. How many bars of super will it before it runs out and can't resurrect anymore?
Talk about this. So originally FNAF 4 was supposed to be the last game, right? It was supposed to be the final chapter.
Exactly.
So I think...
So was FNAF 3, so was FNAF 6. Hell, I'm willing to believe that originally Security Breach was supposed to be a finale of sorts. But the series has just kept going, and it's made the story get more and more weird because Scott is basically like at his wit's end, probably, if I had to guess. Because imagine it's what happens with every single like sequel and like prequel thing, where, for example, the Star Wars movies, they weren't made with all these sequels in mind. They intended to just be the original three, and then possibly the prequels. But then all the super sequels got released that the original story didn't account for, so they had to just pull things out of their ass, and it didn't work. So I think that's why FNAF's story is so convoluted, is because Scott is basically, he built a ship in FNAF 3, and then tried to build another ship, and then tried to add to that in FNAF 4. Then he built another ship with FNAF Sister Location and FNAF 6 and Ultimate Custom Night. And then Help Wanted came around and told him, hey, build another ship, but make it completely different from what you had before. And he's just like,
Originally, what John has said, what was in the box is the whole story. 1, 2, 3, and 4, the memories of that, all locked away in a box. Altogether, 4 games, 1 story. The contents of the box changed because Scott decided to continue the story after Five Nights at Freddy's 4.
I
yeah.
agree. Yep. That's a great explanation. I really like that.
Yeah, I think that's what it was originally supposed to be. Some things are best left forgotten for now, forever. Like, I just think it was all the story in that, like, I don't know, like a memory capsule or something. I don't want to make it too complicated, like a metaphor of all the story in one box, all the pieces together. And then, you know, it was supposed to be the final chapter, but then Scott decided to, you know what, I'm going to continue the story. And then he just left the box a mystery. It's still the same premise, that it's a metaphor of the story, but it got changed because the story continued. If it was something like the puppet in the box, I feel like Scott would have showed that in a game by now. I feel like he would have shown the puppet coming out of the box, being set free. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I really like the metaphor stuff, because in FNAF 6 you literally are taking every character and all the animatronics and putting them all into one place, and that's the end of the story. You burn everything to the ground in that map again. That looks like the box, kind of. I don't know what people think these days anymore.
Put the last bits of the story in a box, then burn the box. Close it. Close the box on this story and move on to the next. And then glitch trap.
But yeah, I really like that. It's signifying the end of the story.
Yeah. But who knows, guys? Maybe it was an animatronic or a specific object inside the box that Afton put in, or Michael put in a box or something, or it was a toy box like John suggested. We don't know. Do you think that it will ever be solved? Do you think one day Scott will ever say what the original plan of the box was going to be?
Okay, the original plan, I feel like eventually Scott is gonna have to say, like, okay, this was the original plan, but it's changed, so please ignore all, and here are the clues that I left for this being, and for this being the answer. So like but hopefully that's sooner rather than later.
Maybe one day. I honestly don't know. I don't know. It depends what he's thinking. It depends if he is satisfied with what the community has said. Maybe when the day people stop talking about it, he'll reveal what's in the box. I think that's the true answer. The day people stop talking about it is when he'll be like, okay, it's time.
I feel like there's some great ideas of what could be inside the box, but the only way we'll ever know the real answer is if Scott says something.
Scott has like a piece of paper which he put inside of a box, and he put that box inside of another box, and he hid the keys all around the globe. And if the FNAF community finds all of these keys and finds that box after he dies, then we will open it up and find the puppet's mask, and it'll reveal that the crying child was the puppet all along.
I think there's too many ideas, and there's our ideas have things that are against it, and there's too much going on where ideas can just clash, and I don't know.
And I think that's the case with a lot of things in the franchise. For sure. I think
agree.
that's why it's been lasted so long, is because there's not concrete answers to a ton of things. So you kind of have to fill in the gaps yourself, theorize yourself. And I also think that's the fun of the franchise. I think it's super fun to think about what it could be. And maybe one day we'll get the answers. Maybe we won't. But right now, I'm just having fun theorizing.
Yeah, like I said earlier, guys, like if it was the puppet in the box or something, I do feel like if the box was super important with a massive lore detail, it would have been shown by now. So, yeah, if it was like Golden Freddy's mask or the puppets, or a corpse or something, or anything super important, lore changing, he would have shown it by now. So I do feel like it was just a metaphor originally.
I agree. You're right. I think if it was something that you needed to know to understand the basic story of the games, he would have revealed it. So I think you're totally on point with that one.
So
You say that, but that was not the case for a while.
with the FNAF 4 box, me and John
Oh.
can say it will remain unsolved. Thank you so much for watching, guys, on episode 1 of FNAF Unsolved. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, John, for being my first guest of the series.
Aw, thanks for having me. I know our thoughts were kind of scattered, but that's just kind of how it is with this franchise, so...
Yeah, but
I think it was fun.
Yeah, that's exactly how I wanted it, though, guys. I wanted this to be like a discussion podcast-style video where we just ramble our thoughts and just talk about it. It's not supposed to be like a detailed theory video or a planned video or something like that. I just want to talk.
And I'll probably be posting reactions to the rest of these, because I like to give out my own thoughts, and I find it better if I follow their talking points so I don't end up getting off track. ADHD is a mother... But yeah, I hope you also enjoyed my reaction and discussion about the FNAF 4 box. Clearly, if you are finding this channel, you already know Daco, you already know FNAF, but I'm going to tell you to subscribe to them anyway. So yeah, see y'all another time.